Hey, this is Bad Movie Mark of the Bad Movie Mark movie review. Thank you for joining me as I review the 1951 British comedy, The Lavender Hill Mob.
Why don't you give that poor old devil a chance? Surely after all this time he deserves a leg up.
Hey, well, thank you. I'll take any help I can get as long as it's deserved. Though I'm not asking for any charity. I'm reviewing every movie that has 100% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I will give them all a score of 1 to 10. After I watch them and score them all, I will rank them from worst to best. I started in the 1920 silent movie era, and now I'm in 1951 with The Lavender Hill Mob. This movie stars Alec Guinness as Holland, Sid James as Lackery, Audrey Hepburn as Chiquita, and Stanley Holloway as Pendleburry. Now, I say it stars Audrey Hepburn, but that's really not true. She's in the movie for maybe 5 seconds, and it's in the very beginning. So not a whole lot out of her. Maybe this is one of her first roles. I'm not sure, but she's in there for about 5 seconds. So this movie opens up in Rio de Janeiro. We are shown Holland and another gentleman are at lunch or breakfast. They're eating at a table. Holland is very well known around the town. He is known as a big spender. He has a lot of money, and he loves to give it to everyone and to, help everyone. And just, he loves flaunting the fact that he has all this money. He's telling a story about how just a year ago, he never thought that he could be in this situation because he never thought he could find the right partner to do exactly what he wanted to do. And then he goes on to say, but he never lost track of the goal in sight. He worked at a place that smelted gold and turned it into gold bars, and he was right there. He was right in the thick of things. He was the one smelting it. He was put in harm's way every day because of the fumes that he had to inhale from the burning or the smelting of the gold. But he said he literally had millions of dollars right in front of his face every day. He just didn't have the right person to help him obtain that money.
Most men who long to be rich know inwardly that they will never achieve their ambition. But I was in the unique position of having a fortune literally within my grasp.
So then we go into the story. Holland is, like I said, he's been working, I think, for like 19 years at this gold smelter. He is someone who, he pretends that he is on edge all the time whenever they deliver the gold. Like he thinks that someone is following him. So he always has the car kind of pull over and have the driver get out of the car and go around the corner just to make sure that the car that was behind them kept going and isn't actually following them. He does this all the time, and every time the guard kind of gives him his gun so that he doesn't have to have a gun while he's walking. I don't know if he thinks that a car is following, why he doesn't want to have his gun. I don't know. But he always gives his gun to Holland, and he walks down the street, goes around the corner, makes sure that no one's following him. And this is routine that's going on all the time. One day when Holland delivers the gold bars, he is, they say, thank you very much. You're a very trustworthy person. You've been doing this for like 19 years. There's no real reason to check it or anything because you're so trustworthy. And they say, why don't we give him a promotion? He's been doing this for so long. He's done such a great job. There's never been any issues. There's never been any problems. Why don't we give Holland a promotion? And the gentleman who's in charge of being the promotions, he says he's very unambitious. He really doesn't want to go anywhere in life. He just does this one job, and that's all he wants to do. And I don't really see him like grabbing the bull by the horns and trying to seize the day. So they decide at that point not to give him a raise. Then Holland, who lives in like this apartment building, he one day has a new tenant, a new person who's moving in his apartment building.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Tricky business is moving, isn't it?
You got a lot of stuff here.
Yeah.
I'll give you a hand.
Oh, it's very civil of you. By the way, my name's Pendleburry.
Holland.
And this guy is like an art collector, but he also creates these miniature Eiffel Tower paperweights. When Holland sees the pet paperweights, he gets this idea in his head that they could instead of making the paperweights out of silver, they can take the gold bars that they have that he has as his work. They can smelt these gold bars, and once they're in the solid form, they can smelt them in liquid form, and then they could form them into these Eiffel Towers. and that's how they can steal the money. They can get these Eiffel Towers, and then they can, smuggle them to another country, smuggle them to Europe, and they can sell them in Europe and sell them as Eiffel Tower gold paperweights. And but in order to make this idea work, he has to convince Pendlebury. So he's talking to Pendlebury one day. He's like, you know what? If people unlike us, people who aren't as honest as we were, they could probably take the gold that I have at my work and make it into these Eiffel Towers and make tons of money. And Pendlebury, it doesn't take a very long time to convince him that this is a good idea.
Supposing one had the right sort of partner, in the form of, shall we say, Eiffel Tower paperweights.
But they really have to think this out because they haven't thought of a way to get this to work yet. And then the next day, Holland is offered that promotion that we were talking about. So he's no longer going to be in the smelting area where the gold bars are. Now, this is terrible because he needs to work in this area to get the gold bars in order to smelt them down and to make them into Eiffel Towers. So they decide they have to act quickly. They have to plan this out. They have to do it now. They can't wait. They have to act on this now. But they're going to need a couple more people to do this. This is impossible to do it with just 2 people. So how can we find 2 criminals? We're not in the criminal underbelly. We're not in the criminal world. We can't just call up Snakes, down at the Quick and Easy bar and say, hey, look, Snakes, we need you to come down here and do a gold caper with us. They don't have that kind of ability. So how are they going to get 2 people who are unsavory to help them with this? Well, here's what they do. They decide to go all about town, all through the city, and pretend like they're talking to each other back and forth about this, hey, how you doing? I haven't seen you in years. Yeah, I have all this gold at my warehouse, and I'm not going to be there tonight. So I really hope no one comes in and tries to steal it. They go around town talking like that. And they say where the address is and where the place is and when the gold's going to be there, so that they can see if someone's going to try to sneak in and steal stuff from them, so that they can then hire them to help them with this job. So they end up setting up this whole setup where they're trying to get people to come to them and steal from them. Well, unbeknownst to them, when they go there at night, they decide that they're going to each take a gun and kind of sit on opposite sides of the building and just wait for someone to come through the open window to rob them. There's already a guy there robbing. They missed him. He's in their safe room and he's robbing them, but he is kind of waiting it out because he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't want to walk out there to 2 guys with a gun. Well, at that point, another guy comes through the window, and when the other guy comes through the window, he's like, oh, they catch him, and he's like, oh, sorry, this is the first time I've ever tried to rob anyone. I'm sorry, my family's sick, my family's poor, they don't have any money, I apologize. And Holland and Pendleburry are like, you've never robbed anyone before? Oh, this just won't do, We're looking for someone to pull this gold caper with us. We need someone who's a seasoned thief. And then the guy who's in the safe room, he comes in, he's like, oh, you mean someone like me? And I'm like, how did you get? When did you come here? And he's like, don't worry, here are my papers. Here's all the crimes that I've done. Here's my crime ID card. He starts handing him this stuff like proof that he's a criminal.
Who are you?
Take those things away. I'm not hungry. Name of Lackery Wood, otherwise known as Sort of Steve, the ones with boy. 2 convictions for housebreaking, 1 for larceny of the person, total 18 months only and 10 years' work. There are some cuttings if you'd like to see them.
And they decide, okay, this will work. You guys will work. This is perfect. So they start training them for this job that they're doing. One of them has to learn to ride a bicycle, and at first he's not very good at it, but he ends up getting it. And the other one has to paint. Well, the one who's painting was supposed to be the one to ride the bicycle. They're supposed to have the opposite jobs. And when Holland sees that they're doing the wrong jobs, he gets a little upset. He's like, hey, I thought that guy was going to be painting and that guy was going to be riding the bike. And Pendlebury says, yeah, but we can't do that anymore because the guy who was supposed to be painting is colorblind. And we can't have him paint when he's colorblind. So this shows you just how well the amount of thought that's been put into this caper so far. So the day comes when they're going to do the caper. Now, Pendlebury is supposed to talk to this cop and make him distract him so he doesn't see what's going on. Pendlebury ends up walking up to this guy on the street who's selling art, and he takes some of the art. I think he accidentally walks away with it because he's trying to see what's going on to get his cues of when everything's supposed to happen with this robbery, and he accidentally walks away with this painting, and the guy who owns the painting is like yelling at him like, "Hey, you got to pay for that." And Pendleburry's like, "Oh no, don't worry. I'm doing something right now. Don't worry, I'll pay for it later." Eventually, the cop that he was supposed to distract comes up and arrests him. So Pendleburry, he's supposed to play an intricate role in this caper, has now been arrested.
Hey! Oh, Shorty! They got Mr. Pendlebury.
Who has?
The cops, of course.
Now, the other two guys, one of them is supposed to, the one who's selling art is supposed to, when the cop gets out of the car and he goes to talk to Pendlebury, he's supposed to get in the car and he's supposed to drive away with Holland in the car. So he does this. He gets in the car, he drives away, Holland's in the car. They all meet up. I don't remember what the other guy was supposed to do, but they all meet up at this, the three of them meet up at their safe house that they're supposed to be staying in, minus Pendlebury because he's arrested. When they get there, they tell everyone that, hey, Pendlebury has been arrested. Now the cops are looking for the people who stole this gold because when they steal the car, Holland's in the back and he's pretending like he's a victim. So there's like a dragnet around the city to see who stole this gold, and eventually they find the safe house that these three guys are at. So the two guys they picked up off the street, they hightail it out of there. Holland, they first tie Holland up because that was part of what they were supposed to do. They were supposed to tie him up so it looks like he was kidnapped during this robbery. They tie him up and they hightail it out of there. Holland doesn't know what's going on, and he starts like, he thinks that he's just been left there by those two, so he starts jumping around like, help, 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 and he ends up falling into a lake. The cops like dig him out of the lake, and he's automatically a hero.
Wait, stop!
Because he was part of they think that he is a victim of this, that he was in the van, they tied him up, he was able to get away, and now he's a hero to everyone. He's a hero to like the gold company, he's a hero to the town, there's newspapers about him, he's a hero. As they're smelting these, Pendleburry says, look, you want to make sure that you put those in the box marked R, because those are the boxes that we're going to take to Europe. The other ones they're just going to sell in my shop. He has like a shop that sells Eiffel Tower paperweights, but they're not going to sell the ones in the box marked R. I'll make sure I tell them that. Put them in the box marked R. So they're making these things, they put them in the box marked R. They decide that they're going to go to Europe and sell these paperweights. The two guys who came in on the deal originally, they are not allowed to go because their wives won't let them go to Europe. So they have to stay back. So they said, hey, look, when you guys get back to the U.S., just give us our part of the money. Like, we're fine with that. Just give us the part of the money that is ours. So they say, okay, so they go to Europe. When they get to Europe, they get to this guy's shop, because I guess his shop is there that sells these Eiffel Tower paperweights. They realize that the girl at the shop sold some of the ones, so the box marked R, which is terrible. She sold 6 of them, which she wasn't supposed to do. And she says, that's not an R. And he says, in English, that's an R.
How did that get here? I told you never to use a crate marked R.
But that is not an R, monsieur, it is an R.
And she sold them to these girls who just left the Eiffel Tower shop. They follow these girls, and they're trying to, they follow them in the car. Eventually they get on a boat and they're going back to the United States. So they try to get on the boat. And when they try to get on the boat, there's a lot of things they need. They need like a passport. They need to go through customs. They need to have, it's a really funny scene. It reminds me a lot of a scene in I Love Lucy, a little bit. A scene in I Love Lucy where she's trying to get her passport and she can't because there's all these things that need to happen. Only at that time she's on a bike. They're trying to go on a boat.
Say, we bought nothing, absolutely nothing.
Vous n'avez rien déclaré? Des cigarettes?
No.
Tissus?
No.
Bijoux?
No.
Cognac?
No.
So eventually they get their passports handled away, but they miss the boat. They're not able to get on the boat because the boat set sail before they can do it. So they end up getting back to America. They find these girls, and when they find these girls, they decide that they're going to try to buy these Eiffel Towers off of them. So they go to their school, to their classroom, and they say, hey, look, we sold you the wrong paperweights, but we'll make it good. We'll give you a lot of money if you just give them back to us because they're special paperweights. We need those ones. 5 of the girls decide to do it. One of the girls decides that she doesn't want to do it. And they decide, okay, we're just going to steal that from her because she won't give it to us. She won't let us buy it. They end up trying to steal it from her, but her intent is to give it to her boyfriend, or the guy she says is her boyfriend, who is a cop. So obviously it's like a schoolgirl crush type of thing. So she hands it to the cop, and they go into the police precinct with this girl, and the cops are looking at it, and they're what a nice little Eiffel Tower thing here. And the head detective says, we went to that Eiffel Tower shop and none of them were gold. And the girl's all like, and the cop who got it from the girl's like, yeah, this girl gave it to me. She said she got it from her trip to Europe. And he says, trip to Europe? Didn't Holloway and Pendlebury go to Europe? And then they decide to take this Eiffel Tower and to put it in this solution that will let the gold come out of it. So they can see if it's real gold or not. Basically it's a solution to tell if it's real gold. Now Holland's all like, "Oh my God, let's run, Pendlebury! We gotta get out of here. The jig is up." And Pendlebury does the dumbest thing. He says, "No, the evidence!" And he goes in and he grabs the Eiffel Tower from the cop and then he runs.
Come on, let's get out of here.
No, the evidence.
And then they end up running. They get they steal a cop car, and then they go on the funniest police chase I've ever seen in my life, where they're able to confuse the police into what car they're actually in. And I was actually confused as to what car they were in too.
G928.
No, that's not the one then.
They've turned off.
Hello, M2GW from U3. I'm in pursuit of stolen police car proceeding west along Portobello Road.
At the end of the chase, there's this cop who hitches a ride from them because he doesn't know who they are yet, and he starts singing this this song. Is really hilarious.
Oh, MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O.
We sing that now. Choirs are down at the station. Well, thank you very much, sir.
And then at the end, Pendlebury ends up getting caught, and Holland makes a run for it. And then we see Holland is back in Rio de Janeiro, where the story started, and he's talking to this gentleman who he's telling this story to. And then he says, yeah, this all happened a year ago. I made just enough money to survive for a year. And then when they stand up, Holland is actually handcuffed to this guy he's talking to. So he was telling the cop the story the entire time. And that's the end of the movie. What do I think of this movie? I think this movie is absolutely fantastic. To be perfectly honest, this movie is absolutely hilarious. It is so funny. The chase scene is hilarious. Just the whole premises, the idea of what they're doing, the fact that they're not real, like 2 of them aren't real criminals, and they have no idea what they're doing, but they love the fact that it's dangerous, and the fact that they're going to get rich, and the fact that they're able to outsmart people. It's just really, really funny. Alec Guinness, this is about the 4th or 5th movie I've seen Alec Guinness in, and then he's also going to be in The Lady Killers. I say this every time I see a movie with him. I did not realize he was in so many great movies. And he narrates this entire movie, so as he's narrating it, I just picture Obi-Wan in my head. Obi-Wan Kenobi is narrating the story, and it's absolutely phenomenal. Stanley Holloway, who plays Pendlebury, is fantastic. The side characters that they got to play these other crooks are absolutely fantastic. The pacing is great, and this is one of the few comedies. Maybe we're getting into an age where I understand these comedies and they're actually really funny to me. But this is one of the first comedies where there were scenes where I actually was just laughing so hard. That chase, if you haven't seen this movie, that chase scene at the end of the movie is just just hilarious. It is the best chase scene I've ever seen in my life. The fact when they realize these girls have stolen the Eiffel Towers, the look on their face when they realize that these Eiffel Towers were bought by these girls. It's like a series of unfortunate events, really, is what it is. And at the end, when you think that he got away and, he got his dream, he got away, it didn't exactly go as smoothly as he thought he would. He's handcuffed to this guy, and you knew he probably wasn't going to get away with it. I mean, his plan was a little bit slapdash because they had to do it so quickly because he was being promoted. And you knew that it wasn't put together as great as it could have been. I mean, it had its faults as they were doing the caper. There was problems that arose that they were able to, reverse and come out of them. But I had a feeling that he wasn't going to get away with this. But it's just such a funny movie. The writing is good, and I think this movie won actually an Oscar for best writing, which it absolutely deserved. It's phenomenal. Alec Guinness, I mean, give this guy an Academy Award. When is he going to get one? He's been so good in all the movies that I've seen him in. It's absolutely fantastic. And this, I haven't seen a lot of comedies yet. I mean, a lot of these movies are period pieces or they're dramas or they're westerns. And it's nice to finally see something that gives a little levity, that gives a little humor. It's really fantastic. And I'm not someone who always gets British comedy, but I mean, maybe this older British comedy, it's not exactly British. It's British and it's a comedy, but it's not like the British comedy that I'm used to, like the Monty Pythons and stuff, which I don't always get. Holy Grail I thought was funny, but I don't always get that kind of comedy. But this is absolutely fantastic. The only problem I have with this movie is a nitpicky problem where they find out that this lady sold the wrong Eiffel Towers. You would think that it's such a crucial point, it's such a crucial thing that she can't sell the boxes with the R's, that he would have taken maybe a little bit more care to make sure she understood what the R was, and I'm certain that she's been working for this guy for a while, so why doesn't she know what the R in English is? There's a bit of a communication breakdown there, but since this is such this is the most crucial part of this, you would think that he would take a little bit more time to figure that out, but then you wouldn't have the ending of the movie, would you? But I can't probably gush more over this movie than I already have. I think it's phenomenal. I think it's hilarious. Greatly acted, great script. It's fantastic. The cinematography when they're coming down the stairs of the Eiffel Tower is great. I mean, there's a point where like one of them, I think Holland, is like getting sick as he's coming down, and Pendlebury's like, wee! And I'm getting sick as they're going down these stairs because there's just so many flights of stairs, and they can't take the elevator because the girls are taking the elevator, and they're trying to get down at the same time as the girls, and it's just an endless supply of stairs, and it's just hilarious the way they set this up, the way they filmed it. Everything is just perfect. Aside from the R on the box, I think this is a really great movie, and I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. Thank you. I hope you join me next time when I review the movie Mr. Hulot's Holiday. Thank you. I hope you have a great day.